What's up guys, edrone here, and today we're going to be installing the Tbs Unify Pro HV into my Reverb build. Stay tuned. So in the last video we went ahead and installed the camera, got it all wired up. And in this video, we're going to be installing the Tbs Unify Pro HV Race Edition. Now, this VTX goes up to 200 milliwatts, is extremely reliable, robust, and as you can see, this is the improved version where they have put a couple screws and an extra little locking plate to hold down this little micro UFL connector. So hopefully we get some good connection out of this guy and a nice sturdy connection there. Now, I have learned from experience that you have to be very careful when you go wiring this guy up, because there is a 5-volt output as well as a high volt input. And if you swap these two wires out and feed input voltage into the output voltage, you will fry this VTX and it will be no good. And I did that once before. I like that they're putting this card in here now, a little bit more of a proactive thing to make sure that people aren't frying their Unify Pro HVs. But what's really cool about these Unify Pro HVs is, if you want to, you can actually power the camera directly from the VTX. And it does have filtered power out to the camera. So nice, easy little install if you'd like to do that. I'm not going to be doing that for my particular setup. I'm actually just going to solder everything up to the flight controller. Make sure we don't get our wires misconstrued here. So if we're looking at the pin connector here, smart audio wire, video, ground, 5-volt out. And I like that they have actually changed the color as well. The version I had actually had 2 red wires. So they had the main power coming in as a red wire, and they also had the power out as a red wire. So I'm glad that they've actually changed the color of this. So we're going to go ahead and snip this off right here at the bottom. That way we don't make any mistakes in wiring up the wrong wire. Alright, so now we make sure that we're not going to be using the 5-volt out, so we just cut that off. And then we're just going to snip off this little connector here, because we're going to be soldering it directly to the flight controller. So snip off the ground and the power in. So we're not going to need the ground that's going out. If you want to power the camera directly off of this, you can. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I just have already soldered mine up directly. And we're going to just cut off the yellow video wire here. And we're going to solder it directly to the flight controller. So that's what I like to do to my Unify Pro, and then we can go ahead and get these soldered up to the flight controller. Taking a close look at the flight controller, we can see where exactly we're going to be wiring up this VTX. So we're going to wire up the smart audio wire to the TX5 pad. We're going to wire up the video, the yellow wire, to the VTX pad. We're going to wire the red input voltage, is 7 volts to 26 volts, and you can see the 9-volt pad has been soldered here, so we're going to go ahead and power it with 9 volts, and we're going to put the ground pad right here. So these 4 pads, we're going to be go ahead and pre-tinning those and getting that ready to go ahead and solder up the VTX wire. Okay, got our wires all soldered up, really easy, straightforward, and we got plenty of wire to reach all the way to the back. Now, I didn't want the wires coming out of the side because this isn't going to be in danger of getting prop struck. So that's why I came from the inside of the board, and we'll just route these wires right out the back. Now, we're going to go ahead and mount the VTX on the top plate. Now, just got to keep in mind where you want to mount it, because you have to keep in mind where your cable is going to be. So if you mount it too far forward, you're going to have a lot of extra slack cable. If you mount it too far frontwards, you might not have enough cable to get to your antenna mount. This particular antenna mount is going to be coming out of the back on the rear standoffs. We're going to be putting a piece of double-sided tape underneath the VTX. This is the 3D printed mount that we're going to be using to attach the Immortal T, that we're going to be using the Crossfire micro receiver, and also our VTX is going to come straight out the back here. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and secure this down onto the two standoffs. Go ahead and push that down. That way we have a rough idea of where exactly we need to mount the VTX. With the Immortal T, we're probably going to have to take this all the way down to the bottom here. So let's go ahead and push this all the way down, like so. Yeah, there we go. Because the Immortal T is going to come out the back here and stick straight out. So let's go ahead and mount that all the way down. Now with the top plate installed, just want to roughly get it lined up where exactly it's going to be on the build. We just need to make sure that we have enough to reach to get out with this 3D printed mount. I went ahead and stuck the VTX down here on the top plate. I did end up moving it closer towards the flight controller, just because there is two standoff screws right here, screw holes. So if I moved it back here, I would kind of be in the way of the standoff screws. I found the easiest way to work with these 3D printed mounts is go ahead and push them down on the standoffs where they need to go, and just pop those two bottom screws out. That way we can go ahead and feed the SMA connector through the 3D printed mount. So we got the SMA connector pushed through the 3D printed mount, and it looks like we're going to have plenty of thread to get our antenna on there. So we can go ahead and just kind of line this up. All the two screws here. All right, kind of see what it's going to look like. Still got a decent amount of space between the flight controller and the VTX here. Plenty of room in there for the VTX. The pigtail comes down through the back and out through the 3D printed mount. Now for FPV antennas, I chose the Lumineer Axie 5.8 gigahertz. This is a really tried and trusted FPV antenna here, extremely durable and robust. And this is the FPV antenna we're going to be using for this build. So I'm going to go ahead and push down, tighten this up until she gets nice and tight. Now we can go ahead and put our battery on top here and go ahead and test out this FPV system and see what it looks like on the camera. We got our Fat Shark goggles. Here goes nothing, guys. Wish me luck. First time being powered up with the VTX. All right, we're powered up now. Let's go ahead and power up the goggles. Do a smart search. So we'll do a smart search, and it should pick up the FPV signal. I got B8. Okay, let's take a look. I'll pop the DVR up on the screen so you can see for yourself. Oh wow, yeah, that looks great. Video looks clean, crystal clear. Looks real nice, actually. Can barely see the standoffs too. I'm impressed. Go ahead and give her a spin so you can kind of see. The VTX is working great. Camera's working great. OSD's working. Got our voltage readout. I'd say all in all, we have a successful video test. And that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And in the next video, we're going to be installing the Crossfire micro receiver and with the TBS Immortal T antenna. And then that's going to be it for the build video. I'll throw the props on there after we get it all configured in Betaflight and get everything set up. And we'll be ready to take this guy out for a test flight. So super excited about this. If you guys have any questions, leave it down in the comments. Make sure you check out the rest of my Reverb build playlist. I'll put a link up in the corner here for that right there, Reverb playlist. And until next time, guys, edrone out.